Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Say It Out Loud GG. We have a special guest today, but before I go into it or get into it, I want to thank our sponsor for La C and Ciani Styles. Thank you for sponsoring this podcast. And once again, let me tell you, we have in the house the one and only, my brother, my friend, my confidant, my ride or die. Robert is in the house, and today's episode, we're going to be talking about Robert's journey with MS. So, for a lot of people, this is going to be a new subject, and for a lot of people, this won't be a new subject. But we're going to talk about things that we don't talk about, and things that, probably a lot of people out there don't have the information. But once again, any information that we give, this is based on his experience and his knowledge with what he has with MS. So everybody's experience is different. Everybody lived their experience different, and every MS is different in different, different people, different categories. So first and most of all, welcome, Robert. Thank you for
Well,
being here. And
hi.
just hi, just in case anybody doesn't know, he is in the hospital because he did have a flare up. Is that what it
Yes,
called? Correct me. A
yes,
flare up.
yes. That's it.
So, and I thought, why not make it as he's going through it, as this is real life. This is his real life. This is what happened. This is what his life been. But so, introduce yourself. Tell me where you're from, a little bit of background, and when was you diagnosed with your MS?
All right. Hi to everybody. My name is Robert LeBron. I currently live in Williamstown. Originally from Camden, but live in Williamstown. I have four beautiful kids. Um, um, Oldest is 21. My youngest is 4 years old. So, yes, a big gap in between. But it's been a journey. I was diagnosed at a very early age. I think I was 19, 20 years old when I got
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed. It started with a dot in my eye, and it just gradually got worse and worse. And got went to the eye doctor. Like any normal person would have said, "Hey, something's wrong with my eye." Um, got an MRI done, and was told, "Hey, you got MS." And I had no clue what was that. Whatever information the doctor gave me was like really blunt, brutal, the way that she said it to me. But I yeah, I got depressed, with that. But the best advice I give to people is educate themselves, because that's the first thing I started doing is just educating myself. And you can live with this, you know, disease and still have a normal life, you know. Yeah, sometimes you might get hiccups during the way, but
Okay. So you got diagnosed at the age of 19.
hmm
What was that like at that age? Because,
um,
that's the prime of your life, what
yes,
people call, because you're 18, you're
yeah.
almost close to that adult, that legal drinking age, that party.
hmm
So tell me, what was it like for you at that age?
Oh, well, it was like my life is over because I didn't have the right information in my hands. I didn't know what was this. It was just whatever the doctor had just thrown to me. It's like she was like, "Well, MS is a disease that gradually builds up, and you could become using a cane for the rest of your life, or a walker, or be in a wheelchair, or just be in a vegetable state." That was what was thrown to me, before anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So at that point,
At 19, yes, at
at
19 I
19,
did.
that has to be difficult. That has to
Yes.
be pretty hard to just take in. Um,
hmm
how did you how did you process that? Was you working at the time? What was your life like before you was diagnosed with MS?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was in the top of my game at 19. I was making a lot of money, working, doing everything that I needed to do. And then to get get blindsided by this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
eventually,
that was a
okay, so what was working like after that? So you go and you see a spot in your eye, you go to the eye doctor, you go get an MRI, and they said, "Hey, you have MS." So what will besides that, what was your life like? Like you went back to work, it was normal until it wasn't, or
yeah. It wasn't normal after that day after I seen the doctor. It was not normal.
okay.
That was
Like
not.
emotionally for you it wasn't
Yes, no. It
okay
was never the same after that.
after
Yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, and what was it like to have a relationship with that, right? What was it like with your family when that happened?
But yeah, like that is something that you gotta have strong. How do I say this? A strong foundation with that will help you out big time. You know, because you need that, especially when I'm in my situation right now. I can't do certain things because I'm not bedbound, because I'm walking around. But you know, I need that support. I got family, I got
Hmm.
kids at home. But
Okay.
it takes a toll.
Okay. So, what is MS?
MS is a autoimmune system disease. Um, they really can't pinpoint how does it start, but it just triggers your immune system to attack itself, basically. And MS basically doesn't, your white blood cells that are there to fight against infections can identify the myelin that's in your head and your nerves that are in your brain. Well, it has a covering, and that covering is called myelin. Well, the white blood cells can identify that, so it starts attacking it. And while it's just like an electrical cord, when you plug it in the wall, if you strip that wire, eventually it's going to start sparking because electricity is running by it, just like the
Hmm.
signals in your brains are, going through your body. Well, if that strip is not going to send enough information down to, hey, move your leg, it's not. So that's
Hmm.
basically that, kind of like the breakdown version
The
of,
break it down
yes,
version.
of
Okay.
a little bit of MS, yes. But it's
Okay.
also in your brain, your spinal cord, and your thoracic, basically your neck.
Okay. So, how how is it, or how has this affected your, or it hasn't, because I know you personally, but for those people that don't know, right, and are educating and listening to you right now, what was your biggest challenges when it came to being or having MS and having a family, because you're a father right now of four kids, you have a
Mhm.
wife. Yeah, how long have you been married, first of all?
I've been married for 19 years. On
19
this
years.
this February has been 19 years. Yes, married.
19 years.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a big milestone. So yes,
So
yes.
you've been in the relationship for 19 years. What was that like? What was
Um,
your biggest change?
well, with MS, it was a big burden because it affects you in every single aspect of your life, financially, physically, sexually, in every single way. There's going to be a challenge, especially with the MS. I'm not saying that it's impossible to deal with them issues, but it was more of a challenge.
Mhm.
So,
So
on a day-to-day basis, yes. But
so
mhm.
mhm.
Go ahead.
No, so did you need to learn who you were? Like you needed to kind of dig down, because I remember because I'm his sister, guys. I remember there was a stage in your life that you had to find out who you were, like getting to know yourself, right over
Yes,
again,
yes,
like
yes.
because the version of who you were, Robert, before, until Robert, who is and living with MS,
Mhm.
it's totally two different persons. Like you
Hmm.
became a full-time father.
Yes, yes, I had to. I had to become a full-time father, you know, because of disability and all that, but I took that role as my wife went out there and was the provider, basically,
The provider.
you know.
And
And
how did that feel as a Latino? And I have to
oh
stop you
yeah,
there because
oh
as a
yeah,
Latino in our
yeah,
culture, as being a man, because this is big, this
mhm,
is, the position that, life threw at you and put you, it's big. And right now you have an incredible tool with the question I'm about to ask you
mhm.
to that, because I know that there was a part of you that it hit your pride a little as a
Yes,
Latino
hmm,
man, as the way
yes,
we're grown, we're raised, right? So
yes, yes,
talk a little about that.
yes. Well, as the Latin, like you said, as a Latin male, we were always the one that needed to take it how it is. Doesn't matter. You got to be a man. Well,
Mhm.
what is it when the man can't even stand up and walk? You can't even do that for yourself. So how can you be that? So
Mhm.
you gotta break down yourself. Eventually, gotta break down and become
That ego.
break it down because
Mhm.
that ego will mess you up. That's a
Mhm.
nice word to say. It will
Yeah.
mess you up because ego it just something. It
Mhm.
doesn't make you who you are
Yeah.
because I am who I am, but and as a father, I learned how to be a father. This is what it is to be a father, a real meaning of it. Because a father could just be anybody. You know the routine.
Mhm.
You just donate, bam, and that's it. You're the father.
Mhm.
But to be a real father is to be there, changing diapers, feeding,
Hands
doing
on,
hands on. That's the
present.
real father.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying I'm not knocking anybody down that because the
Mhm.
men do got to go out
Yeah,
and
but this is
provide,
your
but
process and the
but this
way,
is
yeah.
this is the way that I went through. So I experienced the the providing, and I also experienced the hey, hands down taking care of my kids. Not just one or two. I took care of all of my kids.
Mhm.
Through the whole process. Was it easy? No. Moms
Mhm.
have it hard. Trust me when I'm telling you. Especially Latin women, they do have it hard. Kids are not
Mhm.
easy. But yes, is it easier to work an 8 hour shift at work? Yes, it's much easier than being at home. Yes.
Mhm. So, and I remember having these conversations with you, and I think it's very
Mhm.
important to just talk about it,
Yes.
because at
Yes.
the end of the day, you are a high functioning person where you have
Hmm.
learned to say,
Hmm.
you know what, I might have MS, but MS, I don't live for MS.
Yes.
MS
Yes.
lives in me. That's it.
I live
And
my
that's
life.
exactly, you
Live
live
my
your
life.
life, and you have shown that it doesn't matter what comes your way, you're still there. But
Hmm.
throughout all that, and throughout, with that being said, there is a strong backbone, and that
Yes.
is your wife.
Yes.
And
I,
as
w-
a
I wouldn't I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. I tell you that
Mhm.
much. Yeah, because
Yeah.
she's the one that's there constantly, no matter
Yeah.
what, good, bad, ugly, and we make it happen. So
Hmm.
that's why I love this woman to death. That's what I tell her every day. Regardless of what she thinks. It's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
here. I love you.
Yeah.
She's my
Yeah,
backbone.
and yeah, and this is I think this is a moment to just highlight her and just say,
Hmm.
because as a family, as having our ups and downs like any other
Hmm.
family, I would have to say that one of the things I will forever be grateful, it's the way she has loved you, the way
Hmm.
she is a mother. She's an incredible, phenomenal, fantastic mother, a
Hmm.
wife, regardless. She has, because that's still, something it's hard for people, because I mean, you have to love someone and to be dedicated to this person, because she could have
Hmm.
easily said, I give up. You know what? I
Yeah.
could
Yeah. I
have,
can't do this no more.
I
Yep.
can't do this no more. But she didn't. And she said, I am here, I'm present, you know, and that is something that I will always admire and celebrate her for loving
Hmm.
you the way,
Yeah.
that's her love language.
Yeah.
Everybody has their love language, and I just wanted to take a
Hmm.
moment, at least 30
Yeah.
seconds to 1 minute, to say
Yeah.
that we are very proud of you. We love you,
Hmm.
and thank you for being the person you are and for loving my brother the
Hmm.
way you do. And
Hmm.
so how has this affected your kids? How do your kids know you have MS first?
Yes, they do know.
Okay.
Yeah, they do know. They learned, well, my older two, they learned with a magazine actually that the MS Foundation, they had supply. It was like a comic
Okay.
that, and in the comic book it showed them how the evil was the white blood cells, and like it just explained to them in such a way that broke it down to their level,
Mhm.
you know. And I passed that down to Layla, and Layla actually read it the other
Oh,
day, and she
that's
was like, "Oh wow,"
amazing.
like
Yeah.
I mean, my small one's still too small to understand it,
Yeah.
but yeah. But he'll get there eventually.
Mhm.
But they are they helped me. Like my son drove me to the hospital the other night. I said, "Take my truck and let's go to the hospital." And he drove me here. You know, but then I said it's okay, you could go home. It's fine because I knew I was gonna stay the night. And he said just and he gave me a hug before he left. But I know it's just different types of hugs, and your
Mhm.
kids. And he
Mhm.
gave me that hug like, "Dad, like I love you," and you know. He wanted to cry, but I was like, "It's okay, puppy. I'm here. It's all
I
right."
want to cry right now.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
and it just.
Mhm.
I mean, I hate to see my kids, see me like that, but
Mhm.
I know it's something that I have, and that's the something too that with MS you got to learn how to accept. Hey, I have this disease, but this disease is going to work with me because I can't just let this overtake me, and
Mhm.
you know, it's a mental thing too. So
Mhm.
it's a mental battle. I know,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot. So,
It's a lot, and you're
hmm
handling very well. I think that
hmm
mental health is very important, like
yeah,
your well-being, and how you process what stress is, what problem is. I think stress is one
hmm
of the biggest trigger that
hmm
does it. I know because the whole family had to educate themselves on what MS is.
hmm
So we'll know how, and well, especially I'm gonna speak for me. I'm not gonna speak for anybody.
hmm
But I remember once you were diagnosed, the first thing I started doing, as you know, started reading books,
hmm
started researching, just to know what you was going through, how I could help you, what can I do. And I think the greener the better.
hmm
Um, and go green, go green, that
hmm
means shakes, green shakes, anything
hmm
that is the color green, it's good for
yeah,
you. It's
yeah.
good for your body, it's good for that immune system. And
hmm
do you drink supplements? Is that something that you're constantly on?
Yes, I mean, you take for your immune system is best because the less sick you get is better. So, I know my doctor told me, hey, you got to drink a high dose of vitamin C because, that's going to help you with your defense. So, and
Mm-hmm.
vitamin D. So
Okay.
I'm on those like constantly. Yeah,
Constantly. I do have
yeah,
a question,
yeah.
because I know COVID haven't happened. Everybody knows
hmm
that. How was that for you? Did you ever get vaccinated? Did you ever, how was that process? Especially
Um,
them requiring you, vaccination, COVID, because you
hmm
do have an autoimmune
Me
disease that
too.
you can't get sick.
Well,
So,
and this is what my doctor told me. And I love my doctor for this because she's like, my main objective is your health, you
mhm,
know. And she's like, this is too early of a in stage that I wouldn't like you to take it, and it triggers your immune system. So she told me, don't take the vaccine for now. Don't take it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I never took it. I did
Okay.
have COVID twice, and I'm still here. So
Yeah. So
I
your
think
body,
I,
your
I
body
think our
also
body,
created, yeah,
um,
that autoimmune disease that yeah. So
it created its own
yeah,
antibodies
yeah.
for it. So
Antibodies. That's the word. I'm like
yes,
autoimmune, but
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
yeah. So your
antibodies.
autoimmune kind of triggers
Yes,
itself and
yes,
everything.
and it healed itself basically. So
Okay.
and just I don't want to make a big thing out of it, but us as humans, we're meant to touch, to communicate, get sick.
Hmm.
That's how our body learns how to defend itself. Because if we don't get sick, our body doesn't know. It's not always
Hmm.
medicine, medicine, medicine.
Hmm.
So, you know,
So,
it,
and
yeah,
that's a good
it's a
thing.
lot of things,
So,
a lot of
yeah.
things.
So, one of the things for anyone out there,
Mhm.
and this is a misconception that people have, that MS are usually for older people, and it's not.
Yeah.
MS. What is the age range of having MS, and talk about that, like the age
Well,
range.
so now that I have even read, you can even look this up in the MS Society website. Um, there's even kids up to 4 to 6 years old, like they are being diagnosed with MS because science has advanced and so much, and so yeah, there's no. I mean, the age between is from, I believe, is 19 to 50. That's like the where you're mainly, that's when it comes out.
Diagnosed,
Then
yeah.
that's
Okay.
when the symptoms come out. But there have been kids diagnosed with MS. So yeah, so there's no age. There's
To
no
that,
age.
I have
Yeah.
a question. Does that
Mhm.
come? Is it ¿cómo se dice? Hereditario,
Inherited.
como inherited? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it is, but there's not a whole lot of information for them to pinpoint. Oh yes, yes it is. But
Okay.
autoimmune system disease in your family, yes, there's
Okay.
some type of autoimmune system disease. So I mean,
So, so
it
for
does skip.
example,
It does
okay.
skip.
So I have a
Uh-huh.
question.
Hmm.
So if a family member has thyroid, which is autoimmune, that
Hmm.
means that then it could skip a generation and you could have this because it's
Yes,
in the family of the autoimmune.
yes, yes.
Oh,
That's well,
interesting.
yeah. Just like
Okay.
with mom, she has her Crohn's. It's an autoimmune
Hmm.
system disease too. So it just it's like that. It's in the
It's
same family. It just
okay.
you know it skips certain generations. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
But females are more likely have a higher percentage of getting it than males.
Of MS.
Yeah, of MS. Yes,
Oh wow. I didn't
yes.
know that.
And females, yeah, female are more higher. They have a higher rate of getting MS than males. Yeah,
Oh wow. I
yeah,
didn't know that. That's good to know.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't go, I didn't know that. So another thing
Hmm.
is or a question, a follow-up question would be, what would your advice be to anyone out there who is being diagnosed with MS? Like, if there's a person right now out there that is struggling, right? That it's
Hmm.
out there, and you had the chance to say something to them, to uplift them,
Hmm.
to say anything you could say, what would it be?
Um, to love themselves first of all, love yourself, and it's okay. It's not your fault, and educate yourself the most that you can, because that was the biggest tool that helped me out. As in, you can live with with this disease, and you can still have a normal life. You still can. It just don't let doctors just say, "Hey, well, this is what's going to happen to you," and that's it. No, because they don't know. They're not God. They're not God. So let educate yourself. And there's so many new medications that are coming out for MS. And I know one of my doctors did tell me, he's this big, because the doctors that I was, that I've been to are all they dealt with was MS. I used to go to a MS center. That's what it was called. And he said, in my lifetime, you'll see a stop to MS. So
Mm,
that to me was like, wow. So I'm gonna see a stop to it. So
mhm,
he said, but he just said other things. I don't know if I should say
mhm,
it, but I'd rather not say it. But
mhm,
but we will see a stop to MM and for MS in my lifetime. I know that. So
mhm.
and
And
that's
that's
good.
hope.
That's yeah. That's
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 hope.
good hope.
That's
That's
yeah,
good
that's
hope.
good and
So
positive hope.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
and
And the
just
research they're doing and
hmm
everything
hmm
else and
yes,
you know.
yeah. That they raise up a lot of money and don't think is they just raising up for in vain. No, they're actually doing studies.
Hmm.
And they
Do you feel that MS is more known now? And do you think it
yes.
has to do on what we eat and all that processed food or no?
Oh yes, it
What's
has
your
to do a
opinion on
lot
that?
with everything, with processed foods, a lot of the things that even the air that we breathe sometimes, it just
Mhm.
it's not what it used to be, And but the main thing too is just mental health, you know, like you were saying, and stress will trigger it. Well, that's the type of MS I got, that stress will trigger you know,
Mhm.
my MS, in such a way that, you know,
Yeah.
I
What
can't
was
even.
your worst what was your worst relapse? What did it look like and how did it
My worst
because you have
relapse.
stages just
Yeah,
before
yeah.
you answer that there's
Hmm.
stages and
Yes.
when I'm asking these questions it's because I
Hmm.
know, right, he's my brother and
Hmm.
I want him to kind of explain the ups and downs, the roller coaster that it goes, right,
Hmm.
because some relapse or some triggers or some
Hmm.
relapse might be a little less simple than others. Some
Hmm.
are big, big where he's paralyzed and that's what he's
Hmm.
going to talk about. And
Yeah.
some of them are just
Hmm.
feeling like vertigo.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
explain that. What was your
But
worst experience like?
let me tell you this. There's three stages of MS. You
Okay.
have remitting relapse. That's what I have. Remitting relapse. There's progressive MS, like, and then it's progressively. I know it's a big word there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically the second stage is um, there's remitting relapse, progressing relapse. That one is that you flare up, but you stay with something from that flare up. Like
Oh.
um, if you can't walk without a cane, but you'll stay with the cane for a very long time with the cane.
Oh,
So
okay.
it just progressed, basically. And then the third stage is basically kind of like in a vegetable state, bed bound. You got to be in bed, you know, for the rest of your
Mm-hmm.
life. Those are the three stages, you know. But I'm on the remitting relapse, but it doesn't mean that I can't progress, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because it can progress. But it also too with medication, it helps it from not progressing, you know. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
it's important to be on medication,
Okay. Are
because
you
it
on
helps.
medication for the rest of your life?
Yes, I'm on medication for the rest of my life. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And how many medications did it take
Oh, wow.
before
Uh,
them knowing that it was the right one? Because I remember that you went
oh,
through
yeah.
a
A
lot
lot.
of
Yeah.
medication
Yes.
before they found one that works for you. So once
Uh-huh.
again, just because they're giving you medication doesn't mean that the first one is going to be the right
Yes,
one
the
for
right
you.
one. Yes. I started on um, beta interferon, there was called. And it's injectables. I went through maybe six, seven of those, trying
Oh
different
wow.
Avonex, um, so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
I even forgot their names. I went through oral pills, Texafer, there's so many of them. And I finally found on whatever I'm on now that my doctor said, I think this would be great for you. I think this is going to work. And it's called Gelenium.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been on it for quite some time now, and it has lowered, my relapses, and everything, and it makes me feel, fine, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it did take some time for it, for me to find it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been
So
doing great on it. I've been on
yeah, I
remission for
know.
a while, and I mean, I think this flare up that just happened now. Um, they had taken my state insurance away, so it was a process. And yes, for me, I went with 10 days without my medication, and I think that's what basically
That would
triggered.
cause it. Yeah.
Yes, yes, because this medication, I can't be out of it for more than, I think it's 13 days. So
Okay.
I was 10.
Before your
So
body just says, "Hey,
yes, hey,
listen." Okay.
something's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
And
oh,
that's
and
another subject, and that's another
yeah.
subject for another day
Oh,
when it
no.
comes to insurance and what the state is.
Oh,
But
yes, yes, yes.
yeah.
But yeah, my medication, I don't know if you would like me to give you a little example of how it works,
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's brilliant, it's amazing. My medication, what it basically does when I drink my oral pills, the pill release something, and it goes to your white blood cells, and the ones that go through it's called BBB, brain blood barrier, and it's this
Mm-hmm.
here, basically the spinal cord and your brain. It doesn't allow a whole lot of white blood cells to go in there and attack. So what it does, it captures them. That's all it does. So when I'm drinking them, that's all it does. It captures them. That's all it does. So it
That's
doesn't allow
amazing. Yeah.
that. Yeah. So it does something, and that's the easiest way to scientifically they say to explain it,
Explain it. Yeah.
because it's a whole nother process.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it doesn't. You're not gonna get blood clots or nothing like that.
No.
So, but that is the
Mhm.
easiest way for them to explain, like to break it down. That's how my doctor explained it to me. She's like, let me explain it to you. But that's
Okay.
the easiest way. So that's what it
Okay.
does.
So,
Yes.
just to answer the question,
Hmm.
like, so you have your relapse have looked like you being in bed,
Oh, oh
paralyzed,
yeah.
having to
Yes. Yes. Having to learn how to walk again.
eat again. I
That,
remember that, and
yeah,
that was
eat
really
again
bad.
because my hand, like it was so bad. Yes. And that's
Yeah.
why, that was bad. That was probably like, I think that was my first flare up. And
Yeah.
it was big. It was huge. And like, I was scared for my life. I was like, I can't live like this. I can't,
Mhm.
you know. And that's where my wife was there, full throttle. And
Mhm.
I felt bad for her because it was like she got the kids and then she has me.
Mhm.
Because she got
And
three
that's
kids,
before the
by then.
medication. So anybody
Hmm.
that's going through this, and I don't mean to interrupt you,
Hmm.
but I
Hmm.
want to give them an idea as in if you're going through MS, it's going to take time. It's going to
Hmm.
take different medications. You're going to have different kind of flare-ups, but it doesn't
Hmm.
mean that it's the end. It
Yes.
doesn't mean that it's going to because here's living proof saying
Hmm.
you've been there, you've done that, and you're here. And it's like he said, your wife has been nothing but you need a strong foundation and a good
Yes.
support system.
Yes.
And
Yes.
to close the podcast the
Hmm.
podcast
Podcast.
I couldn't get the word. So one of the things that it has affect MS, it has affect some part of your memory.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
once again, so when you hear me asking him the question, it's ask him again, it's because he forgot the question. And this
Hmm.
is something that we had to learn. We had to
Hmm.
learn to do that. And it was very hard for us to 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 process that because I think me as your sister, it was also
Hmm.
hard for me to when I said, "Oh, Rob, you remember this, this, this," and you're like, "Oh no, no, I don't remember
Hmm.
it," and it was a
Hmm.
vivid memory that I've had,
Hmm.
and it's a vivid, and you don't remember that. That is a part of, that was really hard for me to
Hmm.
process because I was like, "Oh my God, he doesn't remember these good times and everything."
Hmm.
But the important part is to make great memories and better
Yes.
memories
To create them.
and
Hmm.
to create them absolutely. So to close it out, what would you like to say to your family, to your wife, to Eh, this is your chance. This is your chance to say anything you want because this has been your journey with MS.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to first of all and thank you for doing this interview because I know you're in the hospital right now. But
Mm-hmm.
I said, what better time than now? What better time to
Mm-hmm.
say, look at you? And I
Mm-hmm.
want you to explain you are high functioning, you have a full time job, you have a great
Mm-hmm.
employer right now that understands and supports. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so I want you to close it out and
Okay.
however you want to close it out. So close it out.
Uh, just want to thank all my family, and you know, I want to personally thank my wife. You know, she has been like you said, the biggest, support. She's just like my big cheerleader behind me at all times, pushing me, you know. And, I see my family, my kids, and, that makes me get up every morning and keep it moving, for us, you know. I want to thank my mother, my sisters, all of them, all my sisters, they have always been supportive of everything, even a word or encouragement. There has been time I had called you just to, hey, just tell me something encouraging because I need to hear it today, and
Mhm,
that has kept me moving on in life. And, never give up, never give up, no matter, how, how hard it gets, you know, there's always a way. There's always a solution to everything except death. Just know that, you know, and just keep it moving. That's it, and surround yourself with positive people. That's it. That's my biggest thing for people,
mhm.
to learn. And it'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Well, thank you, Rob. Sorry.
Mhm.
Thank you, Rob, for this moment, for this
Mhm.
interview. And I hope that everyone out there leave comments, subscribe, say hello to Rob, wish him well, wish him get well soon, and he
Yeah.
will because he's
Yeah.
almost out of the hospital. Anyway, I want to say
Mhm.
thank you for this moment. Thank you for the interview. I love you with
Yeah.
everything I am. I
Thank
am
you.
here
I love you
always
too.
unconditionally, and you
Mhm.
know that I got you no
Yeah.
matter what.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Next time I'll look prettier, I fix my hair and everything. Okay.
And once
All
again,
right.
to close it out, thank you for our sponsor, La Ciencia Anisal, for sponsoring this podcast. And thank you, viewers. Thank you for being here. Once again, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment in this. So, bye.
All right. See you.